All right, so today I'm going to talk about my favourite place. Now, I've discussed before in some of these exercises come down to discussing what your favourite is. I'll just bring the microphone a bit closer. I'm never very good at picking favourites. I don't really have a favourite place, and I'm just not good at choosing favourites. I think that's part of my personality type as an Enneagram 9. But I can pick a place. I can be what do you call the word? I can be decisive. And so I just picked a place that I've gone camping, gone there a few times with a mate of mine and another mate. And I don't really want to give their names away. It's making me balk a little bit. And I suppose I could, but a couple of mates that we go camping. And so being a resident of Sydney most of my life, it's good to get out of Sydney. There's not a lot of places to camp right in Sydney, but if you go broader, especially up north, up the coast past Newcastle, there's a place up there on the Karuah River in a state forest. Now, I can't remember the name of the place off the top of my head. I'd need to get in my maps and go and have a look at it. But that's a favourite place of mine that I like to go camping. I discovered it one day on a drive back from here where I am at the moment. I was up visiting at the time. Live here now, but I was driving back to Sydney and was looking for a place to stay and took my tent, and I was, because it's a 10-hour drive, so camp somewhere overnight on the way there to mix the trip up and have a bit of an adventure. And I discovered this place, and then we went back there and went camping. One of the main reasons it's my favourite place is because it's by the water and you can put a boat or a canoe in there. And there's not a lot of places where you can actually camp and go fishing. Not that we ever ended up doing much fishing anyway. You bring the fishing lines, throw them in, and spend most of the time sitting around drinking beer. And the point of this exercise today, though, is that I've got a series of prepared questions to go through as though I'm being interviewed. And I've already covered the first one. It's about the personal connection. What is your favourite place, and why does it hold a special significance for you? The second question is your first visit. I covered that too, just in my general storytelling. My first impression was that it was by the water, as I said. Actually, I believe the first time I ever went there happened to be on a full moon, and looking out over the river, the full moon was coming up. Like you could look out over the water and the full moon was coming up you could see the reflection of the moon coming like a line down through the middle of the water. I believe I took a photo of it, and I've got a photo somewhere. My photography skills aren't all that crash hot, so I don't know if it's a great photo, but it was a wonderful, amazing sight, and I just kind of fell in love with the place and wanted to go back because they're always looking for a place to go camping. One of the main reasons I like it is it's a free camping site. Now, I really love free camping. I love finding sites that are free, and the big reason is because you don't need to book them, and I find that very convenient. Like, you can just turn up, pop your tent up and camp. There's nobody running around checking that you're doing all right. Like, I go camping in a caravan park, for example, and suddenly there's all these rules. The toilets are broken, there's queues, you've got to be quiet, there's no running around, there's all these rules, and it's like, I paid to be here. I'd rather go free camping where I could just be on my own. So that's a bit about the place. What are we moving on next to? Characteristics. What are some unique characteristics or features about this place that I love? I told you that it's a free camp is a big one, and I wouldn't say these are things I love about it, but there are features that it has. I mentioned the water, and there's out on the water, there's oyster cages, oyster fence. I don't know, they put all bits of wood out there to grow the oysters on, and there's a muddy boat ramp to launch your boat. There's not a lot of grass. There's little patches of grass, but it tends to be a pretty dirty place. Especially in the car park, it's all just dirt, surrounded by some logs. But then you step over that, it's a bit grassy. It's not dirt everywhere. There's spots to put your tent. But I've had some quite fun there. And then when you're in the campground, it's down on the flat by the water. But then there's a hill, and you go up the hill, and there's a drop toilet up at the top of the hill. So you've got access to toilets. But it's pretty well secluded. I've tried going for a walk. There's not very many places to go. It's just a fun little place to go camping for a weekend. I wouldn't want to stay there for a week. Memorable experiences, right? Oh, I got a few of those. The first time I ever went, I just met a guy that was there, and he took us out on the boat that he had. went and spent half a day fishing, which was fun because he was there with his boat and we dropped that in the water, and it was nice to meet someone who'd offer to take us out for the, do a bit of fishing for the day. And the big story I want to tell you, when I was there with my mate and these two blokes turned up with a boat, and we got chatting to them a little bit, and they're going, yeah, we borrowed it from my father, and he said, take it out. And I was, one of them picked up the water and he goes, this is 4-stroke oil, not 2-stroke oil. And he goes, yeah, it doesn't matter, it's the same thing. And I'm just looking at my mate going, it's not though. But I'm not an expert in cars or motors, but my gut was telling, no, that's not correct. And they said, don't worry about it. And I remember saying to them, have you got any oars? And they go, we don't need those. So off they went and they go out in the water. Later on, but it's the big storms been coming through. A big storm came through. There was a lot of rain. And my mate and I had been sitting under the awning, just enjoying sitting around drinking and stuff. And after the storm's finished, I'm sitting there and I can hear, and I didn't know if I quite heard it. And I was just like, did you hear a whistle? And he's like, no. So I thought I was imagining things I didn't know. But then a bit while later, you hear this, I can't whistle very well. Try that. And then he goes, yeah, I heard that. And so there were some other people camping there and we alerted them, and they popped their boat out because these two guys had been out on their boat, and just as the storm came in, their motor seized and they didn't have any oars and they got blown down the river and had to get towed back. And so we've always told that story, a very memorable moment. It's a in-joke between me and my mate. Now, all sorts of times when we see a mishap or something happen, we just reply with, have you got any oars? It's become quite an in-joke. And so there's a lot of good memories there. There's a story of the catamaran-y thing I built because I don't have a boat and I didn't want to rely on other people. I did have a mate that had a canoe, and I went to the hardware store and bought some long pieces of 2x3 to mount to the top of the canoe, and then used some PVC pipe about yay thick down the end to make two big, what do you call them, those buoyancy things you put out the sides. Oh, I can't remember what you call them. Anyhow, like pontoons, but they're not pontoons. Outriggers. I built outriggers on site, and that was amazing. We bought an electric motor and a battery to stick in the canoe and put the outriggers on there, and we chucked some crab traps, and then we could go out there and go fishing from that thing, drop some crab traps, catch some crabs of our own, have a nice feast and a cook up, and that's yet another memorable story. So we've had quite a few of them, and that's pretty much my story about the little camping site whose name I can't remember, up there on the Karuah River. So that's it for today. Thanks for being with me on day 19 of the Talk to the Camera Challenge, and I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.